It started with silence. An eerie kind of silence that dripped like thick oil between two people who once couldn't go an hour without touching, kissing, or laughing. The air between us had grown colder, even though we were still sleeping in the same bed, still tangled beneath the same sheets that once carried the scent of passion and promises. He wasn't mine anymore, not the way I needed. I saw it in the way his eyes wandered, in the way he flinched when I touched his chest, in the way his phone was suddenly always face down. But I didn't ask. I watched, I listened, and I prepared to disappear. I never screamed, never cried in front of him. I kissed him when he came home late, held his face like nothing was wrong, let his hands wander over my skin like everything was still sacred, still ours. But I knew every kiss was stained with betrayal. I knew every thrust came after he had already emptied himself into someone else. And still I moaned. Still I played my part in the nights he wanted me. But my soul, it had already left. My eyes were dry, but my heart bled rivers every time he said, "I love you," and I felt nothing in return. One night I followed him. He said he had a meeting. I smiled, kissed him goodbye, and followed his car. The way he smiled at his phone while driving made my stomach turn. I parked a few buildings away, watched him hold her hand as they walked into that expensive hotel. Her dress was tight red, too much skin showing for someone who knew he had someone at home. But he kissed her like he used to kiss me. And that kiss broke me. That kiss turned my blood into fire. I went home and cried non-stop on the floor of our shared closet, surrounded by memories I no longer wanted. But I didn't leave. No, I planned. I installed a hidden camera in our bedroom, another in the living room, and one in his car. I hacked his laptop, cloned his phone, started collecting everything. Every time they called each other names I once heard from his lips, every lie he told me, every promise he gave her behind my back, I saved it all. I watched him kiss her, undress her, whisper dirty things in her ears, and I cried myself to sleep. Not because I lost him, but because I had given him every part of me, and he threw it all away like trash. Still I smiled. Still I kissed him every night. Until he stopped coming home. Then the silence turned loud, filled with moans I heard through my own surveillance, filled with the weight of betrayal that suffocated me until I could barely breathe. One night he came back drunk. I helped him inside, undressed him, and let him lie on the bed. And then I sat beside him and cried like a widow mourning a man who was still alive but no longer hers. I touched his face, kissed his chest, and whispered, "Soon you'll understand." And he did. I waited until I had everything. Videos, voice notes, messages, confessions. I found out they were planning to move to Hungary, escape the guilt and start fresh. He was going to leave me in the dead of night. So I beat him to it. I packed everything quietly. No goodbye note, no warning. I left my wedding ring on the pillow, along with a flash drive. That flash drive had all the evidence. But more than that, it had the last video of me talking to the camera, exposing everything, my pain, my loyalty, and how I knew. I told him I watched every single time he made love to her, knowing I was home waiting, crying. I told him he broke me, crushed me after every night of sex where I pretended I didn't know his heart belonged to someone else. And I disappeared. He searched everywhere, called my friends, my family, cried in voicemails, begged me to come back. But I had vanished like a ghost. He didn't know where I went. Didn't know I was watching him suffer from afar. Through my hidden camera still active in the apartment, I saw him cry like a child. I saw him drink himself unconscious. I saw him bring her home but push her away. Scream her name like it tasted like ash in his mouth. One night he watched the last video of me, the one I left for him, and I saw him fall apart. He screamed, punched the walls, fell to the ground shaking. And then he played it again. And again. He was shattered. He realized what he lost too late. He tried to replace me with sex. He had other women, hot bodies, wild moans, but nothing touched him like I did. Nothing pierced his soul the way I once did when I whispered, "I love you," against his chest after a slow, emotional night of making love. He tried to bury me under bodies and orgasms. But I haunted him. I was in every mirror, every shadow, every song. He broke. Slowly, then all at once. and I watched him spiral into depression. His business crashed. He lost money. She left him when she realized she was never the first choice. She screamed at him during a fight I watched through the camera, accused him of being obsessed with his wife, with a ghost of someone he destroyed. He hit the wall, not her, but the scream that came from her mouth said everything. She left that night and never came back. He was alone. That's when he tried to find me again. Started visiting places we used to go. He stood outside the cafe where we had our first kiss. Sat at the bench near the river where we made love in secret that rainy night. He looked lost. Me. And still I stayed hidden. I wanted him to feel the depth of my silence. I wanted him to understand the weight of being unwanted, betrayed, discarded. I watched as he got desperate, set up posters, begged strangers for information, told people he'd give everything he had just to hold me once more. But no one knew where I went. Until that one night. He came home, drunk again, and collapsed on the floor. And in that moment, I walked into the apartment for the first time in months. Quietly. I looked at him, shaking, crying, whispering my name like a prayer. I touched his face. He jolted awake. For a second he thought he was dreaming. He whispered, "Is it really you?" And I nodded. He held my hand like it was the last breath he ever wanted to take. He cried in my lap, and I let him. I ran my fingers through his hair, kissed his forehead and told him, "Tonight you'll feel what I felt." He begged me, touched me like a starving man, kissed, slowly, deeply. Every inch of me burned, and I let him explore me like it was our first night. The sex was hot, desperate, emotional. He kissed every scar he gave me. He cried while he was inside me, whispered sorry like it would erase the past. His sighs pushed into me with such intensity that it left marks, pain that echoed the betrayal I endured. And I let him take all of me, again, and again, 6 times, all night. Hot touches, sexy moans, dirty words mixed with apologies. But I didn't moan. I didn't say his name. I just looked into his eyes, silent, emotionless. When he finally collapsed beside me, exhausted, drenched in sweat, heart beating out of rhythm, I turned to him and whispered, "Goodbye." His eyes widened. Blood trickled from his nose. He tried to sit up but couldn't. I watched him go unconscious, his body trembling. And I didn't call for help. I just walked out slowly with no shoes, no sound. Just like that I disappeared again. The next morning the media had his name everywhere. Unconscious, bleeding, hospitalized. The doctors couldn't find anything wrong physically. But emotionally, mentally he was gone. He never spoke again. Just stared at the ceiling, eyes filled with pain, regret, and memories of a woman who gave him everything, and vanished. And that was only the beginning. The hospital lights flickered as machines beeped softly beside his bed. His body lay motionless, yet every cell inside him screamed with the weight of all he'd done. The doctors whispered terms like psychogenic unresponsiveness and emotional shutdown, but they didn't know the truth. His body hadn't failed. His soul had. He had given his heart away, stomped on someone who once would have given her life for him. And now, he was living inside the consequence of that destruction. I watched from afar, hidden under a black hoodie, standing among shadows outside his hospital room, watching him bleed from the inside. People came and went. Some cried. Some blamed me. But no one truly knew. No one ever asked why I disappeared. Why I let him touch me one last time before I vanished for good. They didn't see the years of kissing his lies, swallowing my pain, and wrapping my body around his betrayal just to keep him satisfied. He had destroyed me slowly, then all at once. The night I gave myself back to him, body, lips, skin, cries, wasn't a reunion. It was a burial. He didn't make love to me. He made love to a grave. I left the country. Hungary was already in their plans, so I took the route they dreamed of, and made it my escape. I walked the cobbled streets alone. Cried under historic bridges. Let foreign air clear the rot he left inside me. and for the first time I breathed freely. But healing wasn't clean. It came with screams into pillows, painful flashbacks during silent nights, and a kind of loneliness that felt worse than death. His touch still haunted me. I felt it when I tried to love again. I felt it when I tried to touch another body. Flinch. Bled. Until I met someone new. Not in the romantic sense, not yet. Just a stranger who looked at me like I wasn't broken. Who sat next to me by the river and listened to my silence without trying to fix it. He didn't touch me. Didn't ask for my name. He just sat for days, sometimes reading, sometimes just humming soft tunes. The first time he handed me coffee, I cried. Because it wasn't laced with manipulation. It was just kind. And slowly, the idea that I could still be touched without being torn started to settle. Back home he woke up. Not physically. His eyes remained open, but he didn't speak. Didn't eat. Just stared at the wall. Nurses said he sometimes mumbled in his sleep. Said my name. Said sorry. Whispered things like, I see her. I feel her breathing. But he didn't know. His punishment wasn't being alone. It was remembering every second of what we were and how brutally he destroyed it. The hidden camera I left still ran in his apartment. I watched him look at our old photos, touch my dresses, bury his face in the pillow I once cried into. But the real twist hadn't come yet. Not for him. See, I had discovered more than just his affair. I had found encrypted files, videos of him with other women. Not just one. Multiple. Some weren't willing. Some were drunk. Some cried. Some begged. He recorded everything. Even her, the one he chose over me. She never knew. Found her video. I watched her realize she was being filmed without permission. Watched her scream and slap him. That was the night she left for good. And I realized I wasn't his only victim. Had loved a monster. So I gave the footage to the right people. No names, just evidence. And I sent copies to the hospital, to the police, to his business partners. The media ate it up. Headlines exploded. Beloved entrepreneur caught in shocking secret sex tapes. Women step forward after hidden camera scandal. He couldn't run. Couldn't speak in his defense. Couldn't even cry out loud. And when he finally blinked through the fog in his mind, all he saw was betrayal staring back at him. From the world, from his past, from the woman who gave him everything and vanished. Court orders flooded in. Investigations were opened. Some of the women filed lawsuits. Some just wanted an apology. But no one ever got one. Because he never spoke again. His body functioned. His heart beat. But his soul was missing. Shattered, splintered. Scattered across every bed he used to destroy another woman's dignity. His family tried to protect his name. But nothing worked. The footage was too real, too raw. And I made sure it stayed public. Not out of hate, but out of justice. Out of love for every woman who cried like I did. Began to heal. Slowly. Touched someone again, once. It was soft, honest. But it didn't lead to love. Not yet. I was still rebuilding myself. But for the first time I no longer felt like my body was a battlefield. I looked at my reflection and didn't see a broken girl anymore. I saw a woman who rose. Who faced her worst pain and came out strong. Sex, for me, stopped being a weapon or a prison. Became a choice. And I chose not to give it away again unless it came with respect. And one night in Hungary, as snow dusted the window, I got a call from an unknown number. I almost didn't pick up. But I did. A nurse's voice. He said your name today. First word in months. I didn't answer. She continued. He cried for 2 hours after. He thinks he's dying. I said nothing. He asked if you would forgive him. I ended the call. Because some things don't need closure. Some wounds don't need stitching. Sometimes silence is the answer. Sometimes disappearing is louder than revenge. But he would never know that the real punishment wasn't the world hating him. It was me never coming back. He once broke me after sex so violently that I bled from places love should never damage. He touched me so hard like he was erasing guilt, while I stared at the ceiling, biting my tongue to stop from crying. That night, I knew I was nothing but an object to him. That night my soul left my body. And he never noticed. Now he was just like I was, breathing but empty. He didn't get to die. He had to live with it. The story ended not with my return, not with another kiss, not with forgiveness. It ended with a woman rebuilding her soul, one silent morning at a time. It ended with strength, a choice, with healing, with a deep, long breath that tasted like freedom. And in a lonely hospital bed far away, a man kept whispering a name he would never get to say out loud again. The cameras I planted, all gone. I shut them off one by one, because I no longer needed to watch him suffer. I had finally let him go,